say, okay, well, I've got 36 months of cash, and if you do, you're one of the lucky ones because you might be able to ride out the storm, and then the economy will come back to a situation where investors are not going to care about profitability as much.
What's happening, everybody? My name is Matt Mosveen, and you are on air with Radio Chatter. Joining us on the flight deck today, we've got somebody incredibly intelligent and very creative. Who are you?
I'm Diraj Goel.
After 20 years in the corporate space spanning from cybersecurity to VP of Operations at Hootsuite, Diraj founded Get Fresh Ventures to help purpose-driven founders and investors accelerate their growth and business valuations.
Have you ever been in a small plane before?
No, I have not. The smallest is probably the one to Victoria.
70 passengers.
Yeah.
Now we're down to 4 passengers now. So I think we picked an amazing day. We're flying 9,500 feet over Garibaldi Lake, Castle Towers Mountain. We got the Black Tusk right in front of us here. So super excited. Let's dive in. Let's do it. I'd love to chat a little bit about remote work a bit. I know we were talking about it a little bit earlier, kind of on our way up here, but so you work from home,
yeah.
And as an executive and somebody who sits on the advisory board to several companies, what's your read on remote work in general, just across the industry? Because it's kind of a hot topic right now, and like, have we figured it out yet?
I think,
relatively new concept.
You know, there's a lot of interrupts when you're in an office. In fact, when I ran operations in tech companies, in terms of planning, workload planning, there was everyone would assume I would get 8 hours worth of work done in an 8-hour day.
Yeah.
But that was an illusion, because the reality is that you can't really work 8 hours as a human. You just don't have that ability to continuously work in that consistent way. But you also have other people there.
Yeah.
Talking to you, coming by your desk, walking down the hall.
Want to go for lunch.
Want to go for
Coffee.
lunch and all that kind of stuff, and everything's an affair, right? So what you do get in an office is osmosis of ideas. It's collaboration. It's conversation. I fully endorse the remote work paradigm. I think as humans, getting into a car to drive, however many miles just to get
an hour sometimes.
Yeah, an hour. Earlier in my career, I drove all the way from Surrey to UBC every single day for work.
Times two.
So it would be about 2.5 hours to 3 hours. And I would get to work to open up a laptop and literally do the same thing. And today I can use that same laptop, work from home, and it makes no difference. However, I truly believe in the hybrid model where you just still bring people together. And it might not be once a week. It might not be once every couple of weeks. It could just be once a month. But bringing people together to build that camaraderie and that relationship beyond the meetings. We're social creatures. We're designed to interact. I mean, there's a certain element of performance that comes into play in going into the office. It's the getting dressed part. It's the taking care of yourself. It's the wanting to be a whole beyond waking out of bed and being functional, especially when you're interacting with people and you're building relationships on common topics like, hey, do you want to go play volleyball or something? But it's building those kind of social relationships that are tougher to do from home.
In other news, at the time that we're filming this, at least, and I mean, we'll release it, and maybe we'll be in the same cycle, maybe we won't be, but inflation has passed the highest rate in 4 decades. The Fed is currently raising interest rates. and the days of dirt cheap capital that we've been seeing for many, many years in the tech space are coming to a close, at least for now, temporarily. And so, what have you been seeing in the tech and the VC world with this new conversation?
Well, I think, it's funny. In the old school days, you invested in companies that were revenue generating, one, but more importantly, they were profit generating. They
Right.
were generating cash flow because you would invest in the company where it would eventually pay you dividends. That's called cash flow, right? Passive income. Then this weird thing happened where more people wanted to buy into the company than the company needed. And that demand pushed prices for that company well beyond what would be the blue book value of that company, the Kelly Blue Book value.
Right.
In a bull economy, nothing's priced at Kelly Blue Book, and there are incentive structures in place to ensure that that's the case. When in a down economy, everyone goes back to that same fundamentals. There are certain things that are impacted by that. There are certain things that are not, like seed investing. Whether it's a bull economy or a downturn, seed companies are not valued based on the metrics of what they've done. They just haven't done enough.
Yeah.
There's no data to measure their success or their ability to achieve success. So it's all speculation, and it's based on the blue sky. And we know the blue sky eventually is going to come through because they keep making more people. Demand keeps increasing over time,
Right.
and of course, if this is going to be something of value and a growing concern, it will be a growing concern even after the downturn. So you can make the risk factor is pretty much the same
For seed round.
for a seed round, right?
Yeah.
For an early stage company. The later stages, there's an expectation that you figured it out and you're starting to make money. There's this kind, discussion of what's a startup. Well, a startup is any company that still hasn't figured out their unit economics to be profitable.
Right. That's
Whether
an interesting definition because a lot of people are like, oh, it's 5 years, and once you're past 5 years, you could be a startup for like 20 years and still not have it figured out.
I mean, that's what Amazon called itself. That's what Uber called itself, right? That's what WeWork called itself.
Yeah.
And what you see is like billion-dollar companies doing billion-dollar revenues at billion-dollar valuations, still considering themselves startups that are not making any money.
That's right. They're growing a lot.
They're growing a lot, but it's still considered a startup. So you can tell your investors that you're not going to get any cash flow from us. But investors in now situations, especially on the public side, are given a story that you're not expecting any dividends, primarily because we are still capturing market share. In a down economy, investors are more adverse to companies losing money.
I think you have a really unique perspective working with both investors and founders at GetFresh. So on both sides of the table, how are you seeing the approach change with founders that are looking to raise money for their startups as we kind of enter that slower market? Like, how are they pitching?
Well, okay. I mean, it starts with this, right? I had a founder come to me and said, I need some help raising my seed round. I think I've locked up $1 million. I'm going to lock up the next million. And I said, okay, great. If you want us to help you work on that, we don't do any fundraising unless we can work on the go-to-market and figure out your unit economics and figure out whether you actually have a sustainable, investable business. So I don't need to do any of that. I've already done my go-to-market, and it sends me an Excel spreadsheet with a line graph showing the revenue going up.
Right. Okay. That sounds suspicious.
And he closed his financing on $2 million. And the reason was funds were flowing. Those who were supposed to do the due diligence weren't even opening up the data rooms. You could see because you would send the docs send link, and you would know if anyone clicked to open those links. Now, those same CEOs are coming back and saying, hey, investors are asking me how I'm going to hit my first year revenue, and I don't know how to answer that.
Wow.
Which means that these same investors are coming back and saying, I think we need to do that DD that we were skipping before.
No kidding. So that's something that's happening now, and I mean, I guess who knows how long that's going to last for, but that's probably going to be, it's probably not going to go away for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not entirely consistent across the board in all segments either. I mean, there are still funds that are well capitalized, that are investing in the future, that are still hunting for deals, and they've got they don't have enough good deal flow, and when they see a good deal, they're making investments rapidly.
Right.
Funds are still flowing. It might seem like they're not, but at the seed level, they are still flowing, and they're flowing with high velocity. But you just need to have a good story.
Right, and so, I mean, does the criteria for what's a most compelling enough story, is that getting tighter now? What does that look like compared to a year ago?
Well, I think, first and foremost, from an investment perspective, is that you've got a captivated audience. You've got captivated demand. You know that, and that's the basis of every startup during the .com and even during our last 12 years in terms of how investments have been made. You've got captivated demand, and you can convert it however you're converting it, whether it was a sign up, whether it's engagement, daily active users, and it wasn't necessarily even the case whether you were generating revenue yet. The assumption was that if you've got an engaged audience, you can monetize it, and you can monetize it with upside down economics first until you figure out your right side out economics. The key is that you have an audience that are engaged, and you've got their attention, and you can do something with that attention. Now, attention alone is not enough, but if you've got rabid attention, investors are still going to invest in it, because their assumption is they'll help you figure out the monetization.
2008 recession, you could say maybe started a trend, which is the gig economy, and right now we're seeing a trend that's like the creator economy. So I wonder if there's like a trend that we're going to see companies in this recession innovate and drive value on coming out of it on the other side.
What I'm seeing a lot of is an emergence of personal brand, and not in the sense of everyone's being a creator, but everyone's starting to gain an audience. Everyone generally has an audience. They're all in person. They're their friends. They're coworkers. But what you're starting to see is that every one of these social platforms allows individuals to start to create an audience, and you're seeing this in the corporate space, where the brands that are winning are, especially in the B2B, are the ones where the employees have personal brands on LinkedIn. They're posting thoughtful content. People are engaging with them. They're getting leads coming inbound, building their own content strategy. And brands and companies are now going through processes of evangelizing personal branding. The ones that are doing it well are succeeding over the ones that are not. So I think you're going to start to see a lot more companies start to leverage their employees as a whole, and everyone starting to become a part of the sales force, which makes sense. You've got a human engine, and everyone in the company should be talking to customers. Why not? The more layers you have, from the people who talk to customers to the people to other staff in between, the more disconnected they are from the company's purpose and the outcome and the value that they're providing in the market.
All right, so it's time for a game called Did You Dabble With It? So I've got some subjects, topics, pastimes. Some of them have some truth to them, and some of them are a complete shot in the dark. I don't really know if you are into them or not, but I'll say the subject, and then you tell us if you did Indeed, Dabble With It. Let's get started. Herman Miller chairs.
Oh, I had one. And,
Yeah.
it was I can't remember the model, but it was my chair for 6 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Standing desks. You already sort of alluded to that earlier.
I have never invested in a standing chair, but I work standing up sometimes. Not quite a bit. It's
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Slack for those who don't use Slack.
Mushroom coffee?
I had some today.
No way, really?
Yeah, my chaga mushroom.
That's crazy. The Tesla Model Y.
Yeah,
You know, Tesla Model Y. Porsche Carrera.
I've had a Porsche Macan, not a Carrera.
Online mattress stores like Endy or Casper.
We have 3 of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Notorious B.I.G.
I have all the T-shirts, all the CDs, all the remixes. I've been to a Bad Boy concert right after he passed away. It's Notorious Big. B.I.G.
We're fans.
Yeah.
Diggable Planets.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You know the Diggable? Oh my god. Okay.
I mean,
you said you were into 90s hip hop,
Yeah.
and like you're not kidding.
I graduated high school in '95. It was the jam.
Momofuku Ando Instant Ramen Museum.
I think I went to that one. We went to a ramen museum. I'm not sure if there's a Momofuku museum, but we did go to the noodle museum. It was closed the day the first day we went, but I was so determined to go to that museum that we went back again.
Star Wars.
All of them, every single time.
Veuve Clicquot.
My dog was named Clico because she was champagne colored.
Clicquot. Didn't know how to pronounce it, but I know you're into champagne. Super Smash Bros.
I never got into it.
Hot yoga.
I have done it. It was too sweaty. I got too hot, and I just did regular yoga.
Network pen testing.
Network pen testing? I was the network pen tester.
IT security background.
Yeah.
Scandinavian designer furniture.
I don't think I've ever invested in the Scandinavian designer furniture, but I've been to the Scandinavian spa in Whistler.
We're probably flying like right over it right now. LinkedIn Premium.
I have that.
Yeah, you would have to,
Yeah.
right? The Wiggles.
My kids are not into it yet. I know about them.
Roasting ugly slide decks.
Do you know what? I feel bad about that. But Brendan, who's on my team, who you know, he jokes about this, but the first slide deck he built, and I think he'll be okay for me to say this. I said, Brendan, we function a little bit around radical candor here, and I just really wanted to give you this feedback. This PowerPoint looks like it's made by a high schooler. His decks now are phenomenal.
I think it's really easy to look at a $60 million Series A or whatever, like a big Series A raise, and get excited. But the economic conversations have obviously been changing, and they obviously operate in cycles too. And so we're seeing a pretty rapid shift right now in the funding environment, and it gets me thinking, like, fundamentally, what should founders be striving for? I think a lot of founders are like, oh, I want to raise a lot of money like a year ago, but like, what should they really fundamentally be striving for?
You know, the term that's been used so much, and I see it all the time. I think it almost requires an abbreviation now, is unit economics. Your company doesn't need to be profitable. In fact, it likely isn't profitable because if you're in a growth stage, you're probably losing money faster than you're making money. Primarily because you're investing in net new. But the fundamental unit economics of your gross margin and your net margin of what you're selling and how much it costs to do what you're selling should be on the right side. It should be in the positive EBITDA level. if you subtract growth. In fact, what we do with a lot of our companies, pretty much everyone, is build out a KTLO model, like keep the lights on. If we were just to grow with the capital that we have today, what would that look like? And can we build a cash flow neutral model where we can still grow without losing money, but maybe not making any money, but we're at a point of neutrality. If you've got that neutrality, then put growth on top of that and run it at a loss, but you can explain your loss against the growth. If you don't have that, you don't know what your runway truly is, because you don't understand your top line economics that are going to be driven against the losses that you're going to have, and you're setting yourself up to run out of cash. Now, based on your projections and so on, you can say, okay, well, I've got 36 months of cash, and if you do, you're one of the lucky ones, because you might be able to ride out the storm, and then the economy will come back to a situation where investors are not going to care about profitability as much, and they're going to focus on the land grab and the growth and the market share, and the demand for company shares are going to go up, and valuations are going to go up again, right? So can you ride out the storm? And can you ride out the storm of profitability?
It's the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
Diraj, we got 2 control columns.
Oh, okay.
For a reason. So
Yeah.
mine's connected to yours, okay?
Okay.
So I'm here to help you out. But do you want to fly for a little bit?
I would love to. I'm going to freak out, but
That's okay.
Yeah.
Have you played like a flying video game before or anything like that?
I mean, Flight Simulator, but
Oh.
I had no pedals or a joystick.
You're gonna be an expert at this.
Yeah.
Okay. So look at the horizon.
Yeah.
It's slightly below where the mountains are right now. It's a bit of an imaginary line, but there's some space in between the top of the instrument panel and the horizon. It's probably about 2, maybe 3 fingers worth of space. So why don't you pull back on the control column? You can pull as aggressively as you want to. Yep. And now let's push it.
Okay.
Go ahead and push it.
Okay. Oh,
And you'll-
this is going
you'll
up
feel
and down. Oh, yeah.
So
This is like Flight Simulator.
So that's controlling something in the back called the elevator. It makes us go up and down.
Yeah.
So let's do a little turn. So before we do, let's look to the left to
Yeah.
see if there's any traffic. I don't see any other airplanes.
Yeah.
You know what those look like because we passed a few on the way
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Let's start a turn. So you're going to roll on your control column to the left. And then what's probably going to happen, a little steeper.
Oh.
Yeah. The nose is going to start naturally coming down. So just a little bit of back pressure to make sure it doesn't come down. And you can roll just a tiny bit the other direction to resist it from going any further in the turn. Yeah. And then just hold that angle of bank. And you want to look out straight there. You can also look in the direction of the turn. And you want that strut to be kind of parallel with the ground.
Okay.
And then kind of switch between looking forward, looking there. And wow, that's a wonderful turn. Oh, it's really coordinated. And you can fly straight towards there.
Oh, this is brilliant. Oh, this is not that hard. I just don't know any of what that is.
I was going to say, is it harder or easier than you thought it would be? Well, that's it, Diraj. We're getting close to our final destination, and the seatbelt sign has been turned on for landing.
Okay.
So, Diraj, we'll turn the spotlight over to you. I'll take it from here. We'll turn the spotlight over to you to take us home. Tell us anything that you want to tell the world, and also tell the world where to find you.
Oh, more than anything, when I close my eyes and then think about what is it that I want to do and what makes me happy, it's seeing people succeed doing the greater good. And I'm not necessarily charitable, nor do I have any innate amazing ideas, but I see it all the time in the founders I work with. They're passionate, they're capable, they're visionary. What they're challenged with is building those engines to take their purpose to the world and have a greater reach. Reach, in our case, is measured by revenue and growth. My job is to help get the greater good as far out there as possible by helping founders who are purpose-driven and working on those problems that the world needs solved, and helping them build profitable businesses and capitalize on those outcomes.
I love it, man. That's such a cool way to see the world. Where can we find anybody who's listening here if they want to hear more from you, or they want to engage with you more? Where would it be best finding you?
Our company is called GetFresh Ventures, and you can find us on GetFreshVentures.com, or just look me up on LinkedIn. Think of note though, we're called GetFresh Ventures because back in the 90s you had to be fresh dressed. You had to show up.
So it's
all
not
put
like
together.
a food thing.
No, it's about showing up fresh. It's about showing up like you got your shit together. And that's what we do, and that's how we work with founders and helping them get their shit together.
I love it. Well, you got your shit together. Hopefully I've got my shit together with this thing. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time, Diraj.
This has been awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. You know exactly what to do. Fasten your seatbelts and subscribe for more.